Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Vagabond VC podcast, where we talk to startup founders and venture capitalists in global emerging markets. Today, we'll be talking to Javier Cárdenas Ibarra. Based in Mexico, Javier is a serial entrepreneur with several exits under his belt, and we're going to talk about his current startup, Rotamundos. Javier, welcome to the show.
Hello, Seth. Nice to meet you.
Today, we're talking about something that's very near and dear to my heart because your company is focused on travel and tourism. So I wanted to talk about Rotamundos. What is the problem you're trying to solve and how are you trying to solve it?
We are a hospitality chain. We help mom and pop hotels around Latin America. And we are providing solutions to these small families because they lack of standardization. They don't have technology skills, they don't have softwares, and they don't have brands. All the small hotels, cabins, glamping sites, tree houses have their own brand. They lack of advertising budget and the ability to make international strategic alliance. And it's a large, fragmented, and pulverized market that Rotamundos are consolidating. And we are consolidating that market, and we are doing that in a very fast way.
So what is some of the specific technology that you are providing to these mom and pop lodging providers, these tree houses you mentioned, or these small hotels? What is the technology that you are providing them?
We only affiliate hotels with the hard historical occupancy data, and we provide them our property management system, our channel manager, our GDS technologies. So imagine these small hotels, they don't have the opportunity to have a big software as a service platform and to set up. And all of these market, there are another hotel technology providers, but we solve all the problems and we connect all the points. We provide them direct channels, call center, supply agreement with companies, also technology. The technology is our core business, but we provide them a lot of services that they cannot have alone. As for example, revenue management based on RevPAR technologies, with best available rate connection, with dynamic rates, and Rotamundos is also the only provider that helps them to connect all the guest experience. We provide them community management to fully integrate the guest experience in social media, in What's Business, in Google My Business, in Google Maps, in other the points that the traveler could reach them. And Rotamundos is also the only one that combines local experience. Even owners can market them in our PMS. So we are working on a huge effort. In less time, Rotamundos already owns the community with higher growth in the niche.
So it's an end-to-end platform. So like you mentioned, it's not just technology, but you're providing an experience for the patrons of the hotel, but you're also providing them the services around revenue. You're providing them access to these social channels and really giving them a marketing tool, a revenue tool, and a dashboard to really help them consolidate their business.
These mom and pop hotels, they are lack of technology. They 90% around of their bookings are offline. They live in the prehistoric of e-commerce, and they don't know how the PMS works, the property management system, channel managers, the global distribution system, the CRS. So we train them and we give them and provide them our technology. We develop property management system and proprietary technology, and we connect them to a huge split of OTAs, online travel agencies, such as Booking, Expedia, Airbnb, etc., and in our website, rotamundos.com. And they have a much more exposure online with Rotamundos. And they don't have to lack with a lot of, or to deal with a lot of invoices from Airbnb and other invoices from Expedia, and to manage their inventory. So we solve that problems to these small hotels. And we are growing very fast because they see in Rotamundos one of the key points to recovery post-pandemic.
So if you think of those other websites for bookings, if you think of an Expedia, Kayak, you wouldn't really look at those as competitors because you're actually enabling these hotel owners, these hostel owners to actually use those platforms, right? So how does that look like from a competition standpoint? You're actually partnering with these other websites. Is that how I'm understanding it?
Yeah, no, what sets us apart from Airbnb, Kayak, etc., they are online travel agencies. While we are a hospitality chain, we co-brand the hotels and local experiences, install an exterior sign outside the hotel with the brand Rotamundos, and help them to adopt our standards. Then we upload them to both rotamundos.com and OTA. So in Airbnb or Expedia or Booking, you can find hotels co-branded by Rotamundos. Then we hyperconnect them with international tour operators, travel wholesaler, airlines, corporate agreements, and also we help them to get the scale economies.
You don't actually take any equity ownership in the property itself, right? You let the current owners actually maintain ownership of their properties. Is that correct?
Exactly. We do not acquire nor operate these hotels. They use our technology, they adopt our brand and standards, and we are working along with conscientious capitalism, sustainability practices, circular economy, philosophy. So we don't take any equity in that property. We are asset light 100%.
You know, you have a background, you started several different companies. What led you to this particular field, travel and tourism, and what made you want to tackle this problem?
I started my first company when I was 19 years old on the rooftop of my parents' home, and I built a website for small businesses, and I created a software to make the website much faster, and that gave me a competitive advantage. So I started to launch operations in different cities around Mexico, and some years after, I started operations in other countries in Latin America, in Colombia, Argentina, and other parts, and started to discover the opportunities to provide technology to small families in Latin America. I was chosen by Endeavor, which is a business accelerator, as an Endeavor entrepreneur in Kellogg Business School in Campus Miami. And after that, I was invited to assist a tech retreat in Stanford, and I started to discover the power of the e-commerce tools. And after that, I was invited to Scaling Entrepreneurial Ventures program in Harvard. And when I came back to Mexico, I started traveling in Latin America, and I became an angel investor in some startups in the region. And I then invested in a marketplace that helps artisans and handmade products from rural areas and from different ancient cultures around Mexico. And this is a key point. Because of that, I visited artisan homes. And the real problem with our cultures, I understood, the grandchildren don't want to continue with the traditions. And when they grow up, they leave their communities and move to big cities to work in home as maids or work in restaurants as dishwashers. And the boys leave to pursue the American dream. And I understood the big problems in the region. Also, they arrived to the U.S. without speaking, not even Spanish. They only speak the native language, from example, Nahuatl, Zapoteco. So they passed to Zapoteco to English. It's incredible that this is the reality. And when I saw that reality, I want to create a business model to preserve our cultures, because this is what not fair. And this is the origin of Rotamundos. And why is the heritage, the path from generation to generation, and our ancient cultures can become extinct forever. This is the reality. So I believe that the rural tourism could be the key to preserve our cultures. So my first idea was to create a hotel chain in indigenous communities. And the native people run that hotels and operate local experience to receive travelers, live better, and don't have to leave their home. So that was my first idea. So I started structuring the idea of Rotamundos. The first name was Hoteles Muy Muy Mexicanos, but I talked in all Latin American regions. So I changed the name to Trotamundos, and finally we eliminated the letter T of the Rotamundos name and became Rotamundos, a more authentic name. So Rotamundos mean to rotate, to go around the globe, to go around the world. So this is the origin of the model to preserve our cultures, and we started the company operations on January 6th of 2020. Since then, we have built the technology process back end, and we were planning to start affiliations hotels in March of 2020, but the pandemic arrived, and no one understood the hardship of the pandemic, and the tourism was going to be the most affected industry. But I saw an opportunity to grow faster because I thought tourism must change after the pandemic, to be more consciousness, to be more mindfulness, to be more present, to be more connected with our earth. And I think a new travelers will emerge post-pandemic, travelers that want to preserve what is most valuable, our environment, our cultures, and this is the DNA of Rotamundos. And our effort will have a strong impact, I'm sure, in the preservation of our ancient cultures. So in June, we started affiliations hotel, and I raised more money in the middle of the pandemic. In December, we raised more money, and we completed $3 million of pre-seed capital. In the past month, we became the largest hotel chain in Mexico by the numbers of affiliated hotels, and we are now present in Colombia and in Ecuador.
So that growth is pretty impressive, and obviously things are moving pretty quickly, right? What was it like to raise money in January, right before the pandemic hit, and then you raised a little bit more after that in the middle of the pandemic? So obviously your growth is telling a story in itself to investors where they would want to commit. But was there ever any difficulties getting funding, especially while, travel and tourism in general had stopped?
When we are thinking to start affiliating hotels, the pandemic collapsed the world, I have to think very well the strategy because no one else know what happens. But I see opportunity because I feel in the biggest crisis, surge biggest unicorn. So I said, this is opportunity for us because this is our model. That we are seeing increasing the e-commerce, the digitalization of the world, Zoom meetings, and homeschooling, remote work, home office. So I said, no, this is an opportunity. We have to double down right now. So I raised another $1 million. So we passed from $400,000 to 1.4 million. So we doubled down the company. We had 10 employees. We grew to 20. And when I start seeing the signs about the new hotspot in tourism and the new trends and the new mindset and the e-commerce grew, so I saw a biggest opportunity because this is our model. This is exactly our model. And in June, we start affiliation, and in September, we achieved our first 1,000 rooms. So I saw another opportunity to double down again the company and start the international expansion. So we raised another 1.6 million to complete our $3 million of capital in our pre-seed stage.
It's just so impressive when you think about all the trends that we've seen in this industry over the last year, that you were never once deterred. You just kept doubling down and seeing that growth.
Imagine a F1 race, and the tourism was in a F1 race super fast, and we entered to pits, and in pits we can change the tire to the cars faster. So we saw that an opportunity, and we raised more money in the middle of the pandemic because the World Tourism Organization said that the rural tourism will be the next hotspot in this decade. So we saw that, and and by the other hand, the e-commerce start growing and super fast way around the region, and the adopting of the e-commerce growth in the pandemic 6 or 10x faster than was expected. So our model is to provide e-commerce tools to the best technology, and cutting tech in the hospitality industry to these small mom and pop hotels. And we start receiving a lot of requests from these small cabins, these small glamping, these small tree houses, these small hostels. So we saw that an opportunity to grow faster, and that we did it.
I like the metaphor you use there in terms of the F1 racing, right? Because everything going super fast, but just because something happens externally doesn't mean we have to stop the race completely, right? We go to the pit, change the tires, refocus on how we want to continue our business. You mentioned you were getting a lot of requests from these mom and pop residences during the pandemic. They were still having a lot of people coming to visit them, even though travel had slowed down?
Yes, because in the middle of the pandemic, that people wants to go to the forest, wants to go to to take fresh air and to take.
Right. No one wanted to be in the city where they could catch COVID.
Exactly. So we made some marketing efforts in exactly in the middle of the pandemic, with all and everything was locked down. So we started seeing that some places affiliated to Rotamundos, some lodging spaces in the forest, in the middle of nowhere, was receiving more reservations versus the year before, year over year, but the 2019 without pandemic versus 2020 with pandemic, with lockdowns, these cabins was receiving more reservations.
Makes sense. And all those reservations were, I think it's safe to assume they were done internally in the country. And what I mean by that is Mexico itself didn't have too many restrictions on other people coming in. So I think from the US, for example, I would have been able to visit Mexico during the pandemic. But a lot of people internationally weren't traveling anyway. So these are people within the cities of Mexico looking to explore their own country.
Yes,
is that right?
exactly. Mexico received a lot of travelers from the US and Europe, etc. But the a lot of concentrated the tourism in Mexico, in the Ribera Maya, in Cabos, etc. And some even in Mexico City. But Rotamundos, our promise is to decentralize the tourism, to that travelers can discover hidden gems in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of hidden beaches, in the middle of forests, jungles, and to connect with the people, with the native people there. So and also we are providing local experiences. So we are not only affiliate right now mom and pop hotels. We are also affiliating local experiences providers, such as the guy that will show you how to make the barro negro, or the artisan that will show you how to make some tenangos de Doria, or the grandmom that will teach you how to cook with an ancient techniques. So we are putting the most human face in the tourism, and we are representing a social enterprise that wants to create a circular economy in the base of the pyramid, and want to create conscientious capitalism and sustainability practice, not only in the lodging spaces and the local providers of experiences, also in the travelers. We are working to change the mindset of the travelers, and we are our main goal is to create a new way to travel, a new way to think, the mindfulness travelers. And we always said that in your last travel, in your last trip, you can go with your lodges, with your lodges. You can take any personal possessions your last travel. So the life is a travel. We are living in a trip. We must enjoy our our journey, and our journey will have an end in the next years for everyone here. So we are working on that in this new mindset to live traveling, to possess less, to experience more.
Interesting. So you mentioned the conscious traveling, and the other thing that I found to be a theme in your company is the sustainable tourism, right? You just talked about conscious traveling, right, and being more present and being, involved in these cultures. What about the sustainability piece? Does that mean sustainable in terms of preserving these cultures, or sustainability in terms of no waste?
No, the sustainability is part of our DNA, and the sustainability, maybe you can think that sustainability is only about the environment, but no, we are solving critical problems in the industry, and our sustainability is aligned to the Sustainability Development Goals of the United Nations, and we are helping them to in different things. For example, we are evaluating the possibility to provide them monitoring and reporting tools for their energy consumption, and engagement and communication campaigns with inverter, AC equipment, and to help them to be more green, to no polluted hotels. Also with the water, to monitoring and reporting tools for the water, to help them to have more biodegradable products, recyclable or reusable products, to glass bottles, water for guest consumption, non-aggressive cleaning products, to also in the waste, engagement and communication campaigns to change that mindset to more organic, to material reuse, to kitchen oil disposals. And the social part is important for Rotamundos. We create a foundation, this Rotamundos Foundation, and that is now in operations. And in this part of social is the community workforce, gender equity, hiring, avoid child explosion, maintain local habits and ethical conduct, human rights, and also that point we are helping these small hotels with culture, environmental, people, economy. This is the start of Rotamundos. That is our icon. Is the start of sustainability.
Because you're growing so much, and you're hiring right now, and you're growing your team. How do you implement those values within your company culture, and how do you preserve them as the company grows and the employee base grows as well?
I'm working a lot to transmit to our people, to our associates, the DNA of Rotamundos. And our DNA is to make history, preserving our cultures and our environment. And we are now the first hotel change of culture, nature, and adventure in the history of Latin America. No one else in the past, no one else other hotel chains such as Marriott, Hilton, and other big hotel chains are putting efforts in the mom and pop spaces, lodging spaces. We are the first one, and this is the real Latin America. The real Latin America are not Punta Cana or Cancun or no. The real Latin America is in the middle of the communities, is in the middle of the rural areas in the indigenous regions. So Rotamundos are representing that people, are representing our natives, are representing our ancient cultures. So we are making history, and all the associates that work now in Rotamundos, they really believe that we are making history and that we are make a strong change in the future of the preservation of our cultures and our real Latin America, and the tourism will be the key point for preservation.
In our discussion, we're talking about how cultures moving into cities, being exposed to technology, what happens is people will end up losing their traditional culture, right? If you bring tourists and technology to these more indigenous or native regions, is there a risk of that exposure actually doing the opposite of what you intend? And by exposing them to outside travelers, by exposing them to technology such as Rotamundos, because you're giving them systems and you're giving them internet and technology and things like that. By exposing them to that, would that then almost push them into the future and make them lose their culture?
Yeah, it's a good question, sir. But the real problem with our cultures, I understood, is all of that regions, their grandchildren don't want to continue with the traditions, and when they grow up, they leave their communities and move to big cities to work in homes, to work in restaurants, and boys leave to pursue the American dreams. And uh, without rural tourism, these 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 communities are these communities can become extinct forever. So this is the reality. You can see the kids in these small towns, but the adult guys they left. They are not anymore there. So you can see grandmom, grandpop, but the adult the growth of the adult population there, they also lived to the US or lived to big cities. So with our effort, that we want is that the kids, that is maybe the last generation that we can see in these communities, that the kids don't think to go away. The kids don't think to go to cities. They don't think to go to the US. They think to stay and to receive tourism, receive travelers. And this is our goal there.
Gotcha. So what it really is about is that there's not much economic opportunities in these small rural areas. So the kids when they grow up, they're almost forced to leave so they can go make a living. However, if you bring the economic opportunity to the rural areas themselves, and then they aren't forced to leave. They can stay there. So it's not necessarily the technology piece or the exposure to other cultures. So, for example, me as an American, if I were to go to this rural, uh, place in Mexico and see those cultures, many people like me coming in there and exposing them to an American way of life, it's not necessarily a bad thing because I'm not really necessarily only exposing them to another culture, mine. What I am doing is providing them an economic opportunity as well for them to stay there, versus them have to come to another city just to make a living. Okay, that makes sense.
Yes, exactly. This is the key of our model is to help them to live better, to have a better economic opportunities, and the tourism will be the key. And if they receive travelers, they will live better and don't have to leave their home.
No, that makes sense. What has it been like for you? Because you've started several companies at this point, being an entrepreneur in Mexico and even the broader Latin region, are there opportunities for you as an established entrepreneur? Is there anything you're doing to help that ecosystem out? Any initiatives going on there?
Yes, I participate a lot in the ecosystem, and I trying to help new entrepreneurs younger than I, and and I think that even in other parts of Mexico, I have a WhatsApp groups, and I'm part of different groups that from other entrepreneurs that came from Silicon Valley, Mexicans that came from Silicon Valley, and they are raising money in another venture capital firms, famous venture capitals and famous angels investors, and in Mexico, and also in Latin America, in Peru, in Colombia, in Ecuador, I had a lot of friends, entrepreneurs that we are trying to change the history. Maybe we are some crazy guys, but but we really believe that we can change some important points in the history of Latin America.
I don't think it's crazy at all. I think that's what investors are typically looking for, right? The people who are so focused on their vision and their view of the world that they can build these companies, because building a company isn't easy as it is. So in order to really get through the difficult moments, you have to stay committed to that vision. So I don't think that's crazy at all. But you mentioned that you're focused on destinations in Latin America, right? So you've expanded to Colombia, Ecuador, and you're going to continue your expansion through Latin America. Is the platform right now focused only on Hispanic individuals? So individuals who live in Latin America who want to visit other Latin American countries, for example, an individual in Mexico who wants to go to Colombia, or are there plans to open it up to tourists from other parts of the world? So, for example, if someone from the US or Europe wanted to use Rotamundos in Mexico, has the platform expanded beyond Spanish-speaking individuals yet?
Yes, in our initial stage of expansion, is only local travelers for the COVID restrictions. But in our phase one, that is 21, and phase two, 22, we are moving all the strategy to international travelers because we are receiving emails and messages, even calls that want for international travelers, and we are not starting that phase of expansion. But I see in the future, in the near future of Rotamundos, a lot of tickets out from worldwide travelers.
Well, I certainly can't wait to try it once travel comes out. So as we get to the end here, Javier, I wanted to think, you just mentioned your roadmap for, this year, next year, but if you think of Rotamundos, say 5 years down the road or even 10 years down the road, what's your grand vision for the company? And also, where do you think the startup and venture capital ecosystem in Mexico and even the broader region is heading over that same time frame?
In the next 5 years, I think that Rotamundos could be a huge ecosystem that redefines the way people travel around Latin America, and we are, and I think that we will start thinking in other continents and other regions. I will travel in 2 weeks to the north of USA and Canada, to nature regions, because I see an opportunity there. But right now, our core, our niche, our focus are in Latin America. But our concept is very we put the businesses, the small lodging spaces, and the host of local experiences in a win-win situation, because they don't lose anything to be part of Rotamundos. They don't have to make any investment. We are putting the technology, the investment, the advertising, the brand, the standards, etc. So we are starting receiving emails. I started receiving messages through LinkedIn from New Zealand, from another regions from Spain, the Camino of Santiago, so rural houses, from rural towns in Austria. So I think that our model could have the potential to go worldwide, but we are now trying to change first in Latin America, because in our website right now are only available lodging spaces and hotels, cabins, etc. But we are for launch our new website, and we include local experiences, local things to do, and authentic experiences. And I think that this is a key point of the growth of Rotamundos, because the driver of new travelers to choose destinations, I think, will be local experiences. They will even spend more on experiences than on accommodations, and which provide us with a double income per ticket. And right now we have a huge strategy to expansion to local experiences.
What about the startup ecosystem in Mexico? How do you see that evolving over the next 5 to 10 years?
I think that a lot of venture capital firms and great angel investors from around the world and mostly from the United States will come to Mexico to become as new Miami hub with technology. I think that maybe Cancun could be a incredible hub for entrepreneurs, or maybe obviously Mexico City too. But I think that the Mexico will be a huge entrepreneurial ecosystem, which with a lot of new unicorns that will make you open the eyes to some investors around the globe. And I think that Mexico could be a good hub for Latin American entrepreneurs because, for example, there's a lot of entrepreneurs from Venezuela, from Argentina, that are arriving to Mexico City to look for opportunities, to look for investors. That right now we have a association of venture capital. We have more than 50 venture capital firms, uh, uh, good venture capital firms, I think, and another thinking to start a VC operation. A lot of, I think in Mexico there's a lot of money, but are not in the venture capital. This money is in other industries, and a lot of family offices will start thinking to move part of their wealth to 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 VC. In our first round, in our pre-seed round, I saw that because a lot of family offices and angel investors and limited partners from another VCs, they they want to invest, but there's not a lot of opportunities. I think that or good investment opportunities that I think in Mexico right now are a lot of money, but are not good investment opportunities. And this will change a lot in the next years.
How can my audience help you? Are you guys currently hiring, or what are some initiatives that you guys are working on that we can kind of publish for you guys and get the word out there? Are you in need of any particular talent or anything like that?
We are looking for talent to expand our strategy in Latin America. We are living in a journey, and this journey is going to to end with no things. So so in Rotamundos, we are trying to create these new conscious of travelers, these mindfulness travelers, things in not experiences, accumulate experiences, not things, because in our last journey, we will live this journey with anything, just our memories.
Javier, so we're going to finish up here. I appreciate you coming on the show, telling us all about Rotamundos. I personally am excited to try it in the future. All my followers know I am a solo backpacker. So excited for the potential opportunity to use your platform, and maybe I'll see you on the road one day while we're traveling.
Yes, of course. You will be welcome here.
All right, Javier. Well, thanks again for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Seth.